Weird. Today, students across the country participated in a nationwide school walkout to demand action on gun violence. Some prominent lawmakers joined their protest.
A lot of us will also be 18 by November, and that's when midterm elections start. So I can promise you this. Do your jobs, give us concrete solutions, and for once, value our lives over your bank accounts, or we will vote you out.
When in the coming weeks and months, more of my peers will be slaughtered in their own classrooms, when their deaths will be dismissed as collateral, you know we have a moral problem in this country.
I come to school to learn math and science and to be better in life, not to lose my life, and not to learn how to dodge bullets.
This afternoon, the House approved a bill to make schools safer and harden them against potential shootings. The Stop School Violence Act passed in a vote of 407 to 10. So very strong support, Greg, for this act.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
A few things, because we tiptoe around this because it's like teenagers, and I'm a little bit tired of tiptoeing, and but I want to be very careful about this. Number one, I said a while ago, you don't want to let these causes be hijacked by other causes, Women's March, Planned Parenthood, the Center for American Progress. That happened. That bugs me. Number two, a protest should never be tied to a kind of implicit reward, meaning you're getting out of class. That taints it a little bit for me. I don't think the protest should accompany a reward. I think it should have been before class or after class. It has the feeling of a field trip, and you couple that with the attention you get from networks. It's a pretty exciting field trip. So I think there's a certain reward there that taints the protest a bit. And then I'm also worried about what it's like for students who don't participate. Will their teachers and the students that they go to class with treat them differently? Will there be peer pressure? Will the teacher think less of them? You know, I did extra credit in high school for the nuclear freeze, a very left-wing thing. That amped up my grade. I got a better grade for doing that. So I think there is going to be a correlation between participating in this and how your grade. But now the last thing, which is, you know, it bothers me, is there's a bit of artificial restraint from parents or adults with this issue. It's like we're abdicating our responsibility to debate and criticize. We should be challenging teenagers, especially if they don't have the facts. If you're talking emotionally, you turn teenagers into adults by challenging them with facts. Emotion that's untethered to facts continues, especially when you're a teenager. I know. I was a teenager. I lived off emotion. I was a liberal. So I think that it's important. And also, you know, an FBI executive just confirmed that there was an explicit tip about Cruz. So this isn't really about guns. It's about a lack of a follow-up, failure to catch a needle in a haystack, lack of a database that's very necessary, and I'm glad we're hardening the schools.
So you want to know who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? These kids marching because of the slaughter that took place in Florida, having a real response and offering real leadership where adults have failed, and instead you want to talk about, oh, if this person didn't march, are they going to be punished? What about grades? What about gun control, Greg?
I think that's important.
That's what.
No, I think we've heard from you on this every day.
Well, let me just say, we haven't heard from the Congress where they passed something today that has nothing to do with gun control, only to do with, oh, maybe we should consider hardening this or doing that. Well, nothing. It's like
making the schools safer. Isn't that what they want?
I don't understand. Why wouldn't that be almost exigent circumstances that you should have in terms of public safety? And how about a right to a peaceful and nonviolent education in this country where you're not worried about what you're going to do if you're going to be shot or you have to hide in the school or what's going to happen? You're worried about, okay, let me see if I can learn how to do algebra today, or let me see if I can learn how to read more books or do something or learn something in science or decide what I want to do with my future because I'm going to have one because they cared about my school safety.
Yeah, that's great.
Right, great.
You said
so
it
that's
wasn't
what
great.
They're doing today.
No, I think that kids should be safe in school. That's why they're marching.
No, but you just criticized what the... never mind. Rewind it. You'll see what he said.
Well, so
play it backwards.
I feel for these kids. I think all of us do. I didn't go to school at a time when I thought that there would ever be an active shooter. And I tried to put myself in their shoes or myself in the shoes of the parents and the teachers who you go to school and worry that this actually could happen to them. I agree with President Trump when he said he doesn't like the idea of active shooter drills because we shouldn't have to have them. So then you get to the question of the policy solutions, and that's where conservatives and liberals do have a breakdown. Conservatives often go with logic and facts, and you follow that logic down, and you realize actually that's not going to work. It's not going to help. I think also, Greg, to your point, it wasn't that they missed a needle in a haystack. They missed a huge silo sticking out of the haystack and decided not to do anything about it.
That's the most infuriating.
And still, there has not been accountability.
No, the sheriff's still there.
And that's the outrage. I mean, somebody should have brought that up today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I was in high school, I'd walk out too. I wouldn't care what the topic was, what the protest was. I'd try to get out of class. So that's why one of the reasons why you see such big crowds, to be honest. On the other hand, I don't doubt the sincerity of some of these gun control students. They're doing what they want, and I encourage students of all ages to be politically active. I think that's a good thing, no matter the topic. The only issue is I saw one of the high school students on MSNBC today. I had to watch. I was getting my shoes shined. And they asked them, what do you want? And the kid says gun control. And then to his credit, the MSNBC anchor said, well, what does that mean, gun control?
Right.
And the student says, well, I don't think AR-15s should be sold in this country. They are military grade. First of all, they're not military grade at all. The bullet's about this size. The caliber is very small. And they just have military stylings. It has nothing to do with the gauge of it. Second of all, I've seen a few other of these students, and they're very hyper-partisan. And that's their business. They can say whatever they want, but I think that's turning off a lot of independent Americans, and it's actually angering a lot of law-abiding NRA members to think, you know what, this is just making me angry. This isn't helping the conversation at all. Greg also brought up the point, MoveOn.org, Planned Parenthood, and the Women's March are behind this. So someone's obviously pulling the strings, but Trump has to stay on this, because when I heard that father at the forum say this has to stop, and it has to stop now, we all have to remember that dad, because we cannot let him down or any other parents.
Indeed, I know. And by the way, my son walked out today. Let him do what he's going to do. Just don't use my last name.
Go.
Did he come back, though? That's the key. A lot of kids didn't come back.
Exactly. It's happened. Even Democrats have had enough of Hillary Clinton. Next.